Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really immersing ourselves in, well, one of the most complete maps of human development out there. It's a framework that connects consciousness, philosophy, and importantly for us, practical communication.
Yeah, and our listeners today are chiropractors.
Yeah.
So your mission really is to take this understanding of human perspective and integrate it right into your practice. We're aiming to move beyond just, treating the body as a mechanism.
Right. Connecting with the whole person, their mind, their background, their spirit, their potential.
Exactly.
We're looking for those tools to, frankly, radically improve how you communicate with patients and refine your marketing, maybe, to speak
Yeah,
to their specific
sure.
values.
Absolutely. And ultimately support them in reaching what we might call their highest potential. This whole deep dive is based on integral theory. It's a pretty powerful meta theory from Ken Wilber.
Ken Wilber. Some people call him the Einstein of consciousness.
That's the one. And it's not like he invented something totally new. He synthesized over 100 existing models, psychology, sociology, spiritual traditions,
Wow, over 100.
yeah, into one kind of universal map. It's like a GPS for understanding human growth. Everything that grows up, wakes up, and shows up, basically.
Okay, that sounds ambitious. Maybe a little overwhelming.
It can feel that way at first glance,
But
but we're going to boil it down. We're focusing on the essential actionable keys for you. Think of it as the cheat sheet.
okay, I like a cheat sheet. Let's unpack this then. What's the absolute foundational key, the first thing we need from this map?
That's got to be the stages of development, sometimes called levels or altitudes of consciousness. This is the map of growing up. It tracks how our identity, our worldview expands, moving from, simple self-centered views towards more complex, inclusive, empathic ones.
And the key thing, the source material really stresses this. It's not just about learning more stuff, is it? It's a total shift in how you see the world.
Precisely. As you move up this developmental ladder, your old reality kind of becomes, well, almost incomprehensible from the new perspective.
Okay. So let's talk stages. Maybe we can quickly touch on the early ones for context.
Sure. We start way down at infrared and magenta. These are the pre-verbal instinctual stages.
Yeah.
Think infancy. Then comes red. This is that powerful egocentric stage, all about, I want what I want and I want it now. Very impulsive.
That's the toddler stage, right? Pre-operational thinking. But the ones most relevant for communicating with adult patients, those are probably the conventional and post-conventional levels.
Exactly. That's where your communication and marketing strategies really come into play.
Mhm.
So we move into amber. This often develops around school age, but it forms the core structure for a lot of adults. It's the rule mind.
Rural role mind. What does that mean in practice?
Amber values tradition, clear boundaries, safety, security. Finding your place within a defined group, a hierarchy. Think traditional values, patriotism, religious fundamentalism often sits here.
Okay, so if you, the chiropractor, are communicating with a patient who's primarily operating from amber, what's their main value when it comes to health?
Authority and stability. They want you to be the expert. Tell them the rules, lay out a clear path, no ambiguity. So, your marketing, your communication, it should emphasize trust, tradition, consistency. Maybe something like, follow the doctor's plan for the reliable health your family has always valued. It's about established roles.
That's a really clear distinction. Okay, after amber comes orange.
Orange, yeah. This is typically the stage of modern rationality achievement. It often emerges in adolescence, but really defines a lot of adult professional life.
So this is the scientific mind, logic, evidence.
Exactly. Orange seeks optimization, competition, independence. Their worldview is shaped by logic, data, evidence. They believe we can solve problems through science and technology. Progress.
So if an orange patient walks in, they're not buying the because I said so message that might work for amber.
Not a chance. They might respect your credentials,
Mhm.
but they need the why. They want to see the x-ray, the research paper. They want the biomechanical explanation for the adjustment. Your communication has to be evidence-based.
Like research shows this care frequency optimizes neurological function.
Perfect. That appeals directly to their desire for rational choice, independent decision-making, and getting the best results. Peak performance.
Makes sense. And then after orange, we hit green. That's post-conventional.
Right. Green typically emerges, maybe mid-20s or later, for many. It's defined by a deep sensitivity to others. Focus on equality, relationships, social justice.
More feelings-oriented, seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah, they see context, culture, power dynamics. Very pluralistic. They value harmony and connection.
So green patients, they're looking for connection, community, maybe a more holistic feel in their care. How does that translate for a chiropractor?
They want to know you see them as a whole person, not just a sore back. They might care about holistic wellness, maybe the environmental impact of things, how their health connects to their community. So your communication needs to be empathic, relational. Our practice is a wellness community supporting you fully, that sort of thing.
Wow. Okay, so the whole journey, amber to orange to green, it's about expanding perspective, increasing empathy.
That's the core trajectory, moving from egocentric, what's in it for me,
Hmm.
to ethnocentric, what's best for my group, to world-centric, how do we all thrive? And understanding that shift is key because it dictates how you even frame the value of care.
But people aren't just their value stage, right? That leads us to the next big piece of the puzzle, the four quadrants.
Exactly. Wilber calls it the AQL model, all quadrants, all levels, all lines, all states, all types. It sounds complex, but the four quadrants part is fundamental. It basically stops us from falling into reductionism, looking at only one part of reality. It divides things into individual and collective, and interior and exterior.
Okay, like a 2 by 2 grid. Can we use the chiropractic intake process to kind of walk through these, make it practical?
Perfect idea. Let's start on the left side. That's the interior, the subjective world. The upper left quadrant is the interior individual, the I space.
So for the chiropractor, this is the patient's actual experience, their story. Pain scale, emotions, fears, goals.
Precisely. Their inner psychological landscape, the eyes. If you ignore this, you've missed the subjective reality of their suffering and healing.
Okay. Then across from that, upper right.
Upper right, that's the exterior individual, the objective world of the individual. This is the it space.
Ah, so this is the physical stuff. The x-ray, the exam findings, muscle tests, posture analysis, the nervous system function itself, the body as a mechanism.
You got it. This is where modern science, and frankly, a lot of modern medicine, focuses almost exclusively, intervening on the physical in.
I can already see why this is powerful. If you only look at the spine on the x-ray, the UR, and you ignore the patient's fear and stress about it, the UL, you've missed half the picture right there.
And we're only halfway through the quadrants. Now we go down to the bottom half, the collective.
Yeah.
Lower left is the interior collective. This is the inner subjective world,
Yeah.
the we space.
Okay, we. So this is terroir culture, shared values,
Hmm.
language, belief systems. Is this where those stages of development, like amber or orange, mostly live?
Exactly. This is the cultural background, the family system, the shared beliefs about health, healing, doctors, everything. Think about it. If a patient comes from a culture or family, the we, that believes chiropractic is nonsense, or you just push through pain.
Ah, that lower left belief system could totally undermine the best upper right evidence you show them.
Absolutely. Adherence to care is deeply tied to this we space. Their shared worldview matters immensely.
Okay, one quadrant left.
Lower right.
Lower right. The exterior collective. This is the interobjective world. It's space. Plural.
It's so societal systems, the economy, environment, and practically speaking, maybe their insurance plan, access to care.
Precisely. It's the healthcare system they're in, public health policies, the physical environment they live in, economic factors, insurance coverage, transportation to your office, all the objective systemic stuff.
Wow. So a truly integral, holistic chiropractic approach using this map. It has to consider all four. The patient's subjective experience, UL, the physical findings, UR, their cultural beliefs, LL, and the real-world systems they navigate, LR. That's the goal. And here's the really neat part. Those stages we talked about, amber, orange, green, they don't just exist in the lower left, in the cultural beliefs. They actually express themselves across all four quadrants simultaneously.
How does that work?
Well, take an orange stage person. They have a rational sense of self, right? That's UL. They look for logical evidence and scientific proof that's shaped by their LL worldview. They develop scientific methods and technologies, that's UR. And they create things like modern corporate structures or free market economies, that's LR. It all hangs together.
I see. So understanding their stage gives you clues about their likely priorities and ways of seeing the world across all these dimensions. If you just focus on the adjustment, the upper right, you're really only treating a small slice of this person.
That's the core message here. Reductionism, just focusing on the physical it inevitably falls short. It misses the richness and complexity of the person, their subjective world, their culture, the systems they live in. It limits their potential.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, the integral map also talks about growing up versus waking up. What's the difference there? Sounds important.
It's a crucial distinction, often muddled in self-help circles. Growing up is what we've been talking about, the vertical journey through those developmental stages. Amber, orange, green, it's stable, structural, takes time, builds personality.
Like climbing the ladder.
Right. Waking up, on the other hand, is more horizontal. It refers to accessing different stages of consciousness. Think deep meditation, peak experiences, flow states, maybe even mystical insights.
Ah, those temporary, maybe intense experiences.
Exactly. They can be incredibly profound sources of wisdom, creativity, compassion, but they're typically temporary states, not permanent structures like the growing up stages.
And Wilber's point, I gather, is that we need both, that different traditions specialized.
That's his big insight. Historically, you had Eastern traditions, Buddhism, Vedanta, etc., mastering waking up through meditation and contemplation. But they often didn't have sophisticated maps for psychological growing up. Then you had Western psychology excelling at mapping, growing up psychotherapy, developmental stages, relationships. But it was often kind of blind or even hostile to waking up states, dismissing them as pathology.
So integral theory tries to bring them together. You need therapy and healthy relationships to grow up properly.
You need things like meditation or maybe deep connection with nature to wake up, to access those deeper states beyond the everyday ego. You need both for full human flourishing.
What about stress? How does that fit in? We see stressed patients all the time.
Stress is huge. In the integral model, stress acts like a gravitational pull downwards on that developmental ladder. It causes temporary regression in our functioning. So someone who normally operates at, say, rational orange, if they're under extreme financial pressure or chronic pain.
She might snap, act impulsively.
Yeah, they might temporarily regress to red behaviors reactive, maybe blaming, demanding, or maybe they rigidly cling to rules, like Amber. Understanding this helps you, as the practitioner, meet them where they are in that moment, not where their potential usually is. You adjust your communication style accordingly.
That's incredibly practical. Don't talk orange logic to someone temporarily stuck in red reactivity because of intense pain.
Exactly. You might need a more directive, reassuring, red-amber approach in that moment to build trust and reduce the perceived threat.
Okay, and there's more complexity too, right? The sources mention lines of development, multiple intelligences.
Right. This adds another layer of nuance. We aren't just one stage across the board. We have different capacities or lines that can develop at different rates. Think cognitive intelligence, emotional intelligence, interpersonal skills, moral reasoning, kinesthetic awareness.
So someone could be really smart intellectually, say green or teal in their thinking.
But maybe only amber or orange in their emotional maturity or interpersonal skills. They might struggle with empathy or building rapport, even though they're brilliant.
That explains a lot. Why some highly intelligent patients might struggle with following through on care or why they rationalize things away. Their lines are uneven.
Precisely. It reminds us to be human and not expect some kind of all lines high, perfect guru, either in ourselves or our patients. We all have strengths and weaknesses across different lines.
And just quickly, the last piece was types, like Myers-Briggs or Enneagram.
Yeah, types are those consistent horizontal differences. Personality styles, maybe gender differences, things that add flavor and require specific communication tweaks. But they don't change your fundamental altitude or stage.
Okay, so we have stages, altitude, quadrants, the scoop of reality, states, waking up experiences, lines, different intelligences, or types, consistent styles. That is comprehensive.
It is. It's a map of everything that shows up in human experience.
Let's bring this back home now. Connect it directly to the core philosophy of chiropractic. The source material warns about modernity's tendency, this reductionism, seeing people as just matter or body. Just the upper right quadrant.
Yes, reducing the human to just a physical machine. And the warning is stark. This reductionism leads to regression, repression, oppression. It actively stops the full unfolding of potential. It blocks both growing up and waking up.
Whereas the integral view, this map, it actually seems to affirm chiropractic's highest ideals, right? It outlines that natural developmental path. Matter to body, then mind, then soul, then spirit.
Exactly. That sequence mirrors the evolution of the cosmos itself, and it represents innate intelligence finding its fullest expression, connecting with universal intelligence. This is resonant with what D.D. Palmer tapped into, 130 years ago. Health, seen through this full spectrum lens, isn't just absence of symptoms. It's everything being in coordinated action, active organization.
And disease or disease.
Is when that coordination, that active organization, gets blocked or stopped. That's the manifestation of interference.
So the subluxation, in this much bigger context, it's not just a bone out of place affecting a nerve, though it is that in the upper right. It's potentially an interference pattern in the nervous system that dampens that innate drive towards active organization, towards unfolding, across all four quadrants.
That's a powerful way to frame it. You're removing neurological interference not just to stop pain, ULEOR, but to allow the patient's own innate potential, that connection between their matter and their spirit, to flourish more fully. The adjustment, seen this way, becomes an intervention that supports the possibility of moving towards higher, more integrated, more complex, more compassionate levels of consciousness.
Wow. It shifts the clinical message from "I'm fixing your back problem" to something much deeper. I'm helping remove interference so your innate intelligence can express itself more fully.
It honors the patient's inherent drive towards growth and complexity. It's facilitating their journey.
The scale of that service feels profound. And the source material has this beautiful final thought, linking it all back to the cosmos. You mentioned Freeman Dyson.
Yeah, the physicist, he said something like, the more I examine the universe, the more evidence I find that the universe in some sense knew that we were coming.
That gives me chills. We aren't just random accidents.
We are, in a very real sense, the universe becoming aware of itself, reflecting on itself, knowing itself. And this integral map confirms that your patients aren't just machines needing repair. They are dynamic, unfolding consciousnesses, living systems expressing across stages, states, lines, types, and quadrants.
So by really getting this map, by understanding the difference between talking to an amber worldview versus an orange or a green, you can communicate the value of care in a way that truly lands, addressing not just the physical you are, but maybe touching on that spiritual importance of removing interference, supporting that incredible 14 billion year journey unfolding in them.
Understanding the map lets you speak their language now while holding the space for their future potential. That's truly integrated care. It bridges the gap between where they are and where they could go.
So let's leave our listeners with this final thought to chew on, straight from the source material spirit. This week, try taking the fullness, the wonder of this 14 billion year cosmic legacy, the universe literally becoming the person in front of you, and bring that consciousness, that awareness, maybe even that radiant love into every single patient interaction. What does it actually feel like to serve someone who is the culmination of 14 billion years of unfolding intelligence? How might that shift your perspective during your next adjustment?